Hi everyone, it's Cindy from Cindy's Art. Today we're going to continue painting watercolor clouds. This is number 2 in a series I'm working on. And for today, make sure you've got a little piece of paper towel or tissue handy for some of the cloud work that we're going to work on. I used a 3 by 4 inch Arches cold press paper. I use Holbein paints. They're listed here for you and in the description below. And we're going to go ahead and get started. There's no reference picture for this painting. This is just something I saw in my head. So wet the upper part of the paper and don't wet everything down. Don't worry about how you do it. Just put some water on it. And I'm using a little bit of Aurelian yellow and then a Cambogia, which is my darker yellow in that palette. And I use a tiny bit of that permanent orange, yellow orange in there. Then I'm going to go ahead and add my blues in. This is a little bit of Veriditer or cerulean. You could use cerulean as well, and a little bit of marine blue. And I wanted to get a different color in there, try different blues and colors just to see what you like. So in order to add in a little bit of a darker tone to these clouds, I actually mixed a tiny bit of purple with that Aurelian yellow. And what it does is it starts to turn gray. So it'll add in a purplish color and a gray to it. So that's one way of producing grays, is using the opposite colors. And yellow and purple are opposite on the color wheel. Now you'll see in my videos I'm keeping this paper quite wet. I just used a squirt bottle and just squirted this picture just a tiny bit. That tiny bit of water that I squirt in there is going to add texture to the painting as well. And what I'm going to do right now is add in a little bit more darker blues. And once I lay these blues in, you're actually going to see me grab a little bit of tissue paper and I'm going to twist it up. And I'm going to go ahead and dab out some of that paint. And what it's going to do is create a little bit of clouds. So this is a second way that you can create clouds, is by taking a tissue paper while this is wet and dabbing at this and picking up some of that picture. And it'll create some of the whites that I want to protect and keep for the painting. So remember, for these quick 10-minute lessons, all we're doing is warming up for the day, and we're practicing our clouds. So we don't need to have an elaborate painting. And I decided to make this interesting S-curve path in the bottom with just a little bit of ultramarine blue and a little bit of permanent violet, a little bit of neutral. I'm just highlighting this path in the snow. And I don't want to put a lot of detail into this painting, but I'm having fun practicing with my colors. Whenever I paint snow, I usually am using a little bit of horizon blue, a little bit of permanent violet, maybe a little bit of quinacridone scarlet in there, and it just creates interesting shadows. So whenever you look at white snow, look for the colors. It is amazing what you can see in nature. So I'm just going to go ahead and progress this path and just make sure I've got a little bit of highlights, a little bit of interest, and make sure my horizon line looks pretty good for this painting. Because this is such a tiny painting and I decided to turn it into a quick lesson, I decided to go ahead and put a barn and a little fence inside of this painting. I think I add birds at the end as well. So I'm sketching out my barn, and although I've got snow painted there already and these dark colors, I'm going to use a little bit of white gouache and I'm going to paint over top of that. I could have blocked that out, but I did not even know I was going to paint a barn, and I didn't know exactly what scene I was going to paint when I started off with this. I just wanted to focus on the clouds. So I'm using the white gouache, and as I finish that up, I've got to let that dry really good. I don't want to add any color on that white gouache while it's drying. So I went ahead and kept painting and added a little bit more vibrancy into my sky by picking up more of my yellows, adding a second coat. I didn't fuss too much, but it'll give you an idea of how you can go back in, do a second layer of colors, and just do a glaze, which is another coat of color over top of what already exists. And because I'm using a nice cold pressed paper, it's 140 pound, it's Arches, I can put water on top of something that's already dry and then add another color on. Right now I'm glazing with this little bit of quinacridone scarlet, and I'm adding that into some of the whites as well that's on here. So I can do that without lifting up the paint that already exists there. And that's one of the things that's good to know, because if you have a cheaper paper, you'll go and you'll put a little bit of water on it, then go to put paint on it, and it'll lift up the paint that's underneath, and it'll start to look kind of mucky and muddy and cloudy. And that's because of the paper. So we're going to move back onto the the barn, and I'm going to add in some bright colors. Get out your marine blue color. I'm using sap green and permanent orange. I am not mixing them, I'm just dabbing them in there. And it's a really fun way to mix colors by just dabbing in vibrant colors onto a barn like this and let them run. Let them mix by themselves. Don't try to force mix it, but just watch and see how those colors work together on the paper. So again, the focus of this is the clouds. I really like the way that the clouds turned out on top. And this is really it for the 10-minute painting. So we're going to finish up here. If you enjoyed this video and it added value to your painting journey, please like this so I can get these videos out. They're free for people to view. And I certainly want to share whatever I can that might be helpful for other people. So please be sure to like it, subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more of the videos that come up for the Cloud series. And I have provided additional cards that are similar to this painting inside the video, and then I've got some at the end. I just so appreciate being with you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy painting.